Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of Factorising Quadratics. Now in the previous video we looked at quadratic expressions where a, the leading coefficient or the coefficient in front of x squared was equals to 1. So there was no number in front of x squared. Now we'll be looking at expressions where a is not equal to 1. How do we factorize those? Let's look at the first example. Now the first thing you always want to check is, can you take out a common factor? Here we have 12x squared minus 24x minus 96. Is there a common factor between 12, 24, and 96? Yes, they can all divide by 12. Let's see what happens then. If I take out a 12, I'll have 12 on the outside, then I'll have x squared minus 2x, then minus 8. Minus 96 divided by 12 is negative 8. Now it looks like the type of quadratic expression we had in the previous video. I can just write x and x. What are the factors of 8? It's 8 and 1 or 4 and 2. So remember, we subtract. What's 8 minus 1? It's 7. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 matches the middle term, so I'm going to use 4 and 2. We need to have different signs, so I'm going to have minus then plus. So we factorize this one fully. But what about if there is not a common factor? Let's see. Over here we have 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. 5 cannot divide by 2, so there's not a common factor over here. Neither can 3. If either the middle term or the last term cannot divide by the supposed common factor, then it doesn't work. So over here we need to try something different. I usually start by writing down the factors of 2x squared. I write down 2x and x because that can give you 2x squared. Then I write down the factors of the last term, which is 3 and 1. Okay. I kind of make 2 columns for myself. Now within these 2 columns you can either cross multiply or you can multiply within the same row, as in 2x and 3 and x and 1. Let's test that out. What's 2x times 3? That's 6x. And what's x times 1? That's just x. Now, here you need to do trial and error with the signs. Like if I do positive and positive, I'll get positive 7x, which is not the middle term. What about if I maybe do positive 6x and negative x? Then we will have positive 5x, which matches the middle term over there. But positive times negative is not positive, the last term. So this is not the combination that we want. Let's try cross multiplying. What will we have then? If I do 2x times 1 and x times 3, 2x times 1 is 2x, and x times 3 is 3x. If I happen to make both of these positive and add them together, I'll have positive 5x. And in this case, positive times positive is positive. So it matches the sign of the last term. So this is probably the combination that we need. Let me write down my two brackets. Okay. Now, in which order do you write all of this down? I usually start with that term over there. I write down 2x. 2x multiplied by 1. I write that in the last bracket at the end. Now, in this last bracket, it's missing an x term now. So I write down x because that's the other term we have there. And x multiplied by 3. So I kind of imagine that these two go together. These two multiply together and we put a positive in front of them. So it's positive 3x and the remaining sign is positive. So I write that in the other bracket. If you multiply out these two brackets, you'll have 2x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 3, and 2x plus 3x is 5x. So that matches what we had originally. Okay, let's move on to our third example. Here we have 4x squared plus 11x plus 6. Okay, this one's a bit harder because 4x squared has factors 4x and x, or another pair is 2x and 2x. Okay, what about 6? 6 has 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. Now you need to cross multiply between columns and see, can you get 11x? Okay, let's try 4x times 2, that's 8x. 8x, and x times 3 is 3x. If I make both of these positive, I'll have positive 11x. And positive times positive is positive, which matches the sign of the last term. Okay, let's write out our two brackets. 4x went with 2, and x went with 3, and here we had both positive. Okay, if I multiply this out, I'll have 4x squared plus 8x plus 3x 6, and 8x plus 3x is positive 11x. So this matches our original. Let's look at the fourth example. Let's throw in a negative into the mix. We have 3x squared minus 10x plus 7. Okay, luckily over here 3 and 7 are prime numbers, so they only factors 3 and 1, 7 and 1. Over here, sorry, I usually write 3x and 1x, or let's rather just write x. Let me make my two columns. Now we need to either cross multiply or multiply within the same row. We want negative 10x. 3x times 1 is 3x, and x times 7 is 7x. If I make both of these negative, I'll have negative 10x. Also, negative times negative is positive. So this seems to work. Let's write out our brackets. I'll write 3x goes with 1, x goes with 7, and we had two negatives over here, so it's kind of easy. You can check if we multiply this out, it will definitely match. Minus 7 times minus 1 is positive 7. So this worked. Let me show you one where it might be easy to get a bit confused. 6x squared minus 17x minus 10. Okay. The factors of 6x squared are 6x or 1x. Okay. And 3x and 2x. Let me move this a bit out of the way. Okay. What about the factors of 10? That's either 10 and 1 or 5 and 2. Now, we want negative 17x. Now, it might appear that there's more than one way that this can happen. Let's look at the one way. 6x times 2 is 12x, and x times 5 is 5x. Now, you might think, wait, let me make both negative, and then I'll have negative 17x. But the problem with that is that that negative times that negative is not negative, it would be positive. So this is not the right combination. Okay. Let's try the other combination. 3x times 1 is 3x, and 2x times 10 is 20. If I do negative 20 plus 3, I'll have left the negative 17x, which matches the middle term. Let's check. Minus times positive is a negative. So this seems to be the right combination. Let's write out our two brackets. 3x went with 1, 2x went with 10. In front of 2x times 10 is negative 20x. I wrote a negative. So that negative comes here because I kind of imagine these two to go together. Okay. Then the other sign we had is a positive. So you write positive over there. Let's definitely test out this one. Okay, I'll have 6x squared plus 3x minus 20x, and negative 10 times 1 is negative 10. And 3x minus 20x is minus 17x. So it worked. I hope that was helpful. This method is more important because up until the end of your school career in maths, you'll have to factorize more complicated expressions like these, especially when you deal with quadratics and so on. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to end the video over this. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.